Hello and welcome to another episode of Live Daily Live. I'm so excited to get going today. Thank you all for being here. So something I want to talk about today is something I've thought about a lot and learned about a lot is the power of positivity. Um, and I did a lot of research on this one as well. I've actually not only have I been writing a book on what's called How to Happy, which deals a lot with positive psychology and the power of positivity. But also, I worked for someone that actually taught classes on happiness and how to do that, where I was his personal assistant. I introduced him into events as well. And then, like I said, I've been writing a book on this and doing some research on my own, as well as improving my own. With positivity, it's taught by a lot of different people in a lot of different courses, and I've spent personally on myself over about $3,000 to $4,000 aside from college and different things on investment on myself and my understanding, my knowledge. So excited to get going on this one. Thank you for being here. What I wanted to talk about today with positivity is how important it is. It really is something that is powerful to be positive, to think good thoughts, to be happy, and to really be focused on trying your best to live a positive life. The other thing I want to talk about, so the actual title of this one is not just the power of positivity, it's the power of positivity most of the time. So I love, this is what I want to talk about is that some people really have this mindset of, only positivity is allowed here. And I wanted to talk about why that's wrong, why that's dead wrong. But the important thing is that positivity is a big deal. So I wanted to go into this a little bit. A lot of people really do think that, you kind of get extremists on both sides. And I want to kind of dissuade that and say, okay, there is a right place to be here. And it's not all one side and it's not completely the other. But it is important that we do stay on the positive side. First off, though, I don't like this thought process where only positivity is allowed here, where someone is not, as Martin Seligman says it, not pessimistic at any time, because our pessimistic thoughts are very useful. It's actually something that is how we can criticize. That's how we can improve. But there's a right way to do it and definitely a wrong way to do it. And that's what I want to talk about today. Was actually this, which is called the Losada ratio. So this was a study that was done by a couple people from Harvard. One last name of Losada was the one. That's why it's called the Losada ratio. And so what this shows here is, as you can see, it's the number of positive statements to negative statements to criticisms, positivity versus pessimism, and what's the right place and where can you flourish. So the important thing with this, and what I want to talk about too with this is not just on anything you do. Like, this isn't just saying, hey, you did a good job, hey, you did terrible, but we actually use this kind of talk in so much of our daily life. I wanted to kind of go over that. So first off, let's just look at this here. So if you see on the very far side there, 1 for 1, you're in a danger zone. And this is based off of the studies they showed in business, and you can see here on that it has college students, marriage, business teams, and it's the happy point is a different place for different stages. And I think it's based off how you want to improve and also what they're prepared for in their daily life there. So first off, one positive statement for one criticism never works. It's in the danger zone. It's something that is never a good thing. You can see as you get a little bit better, like 1.5 is, you're still in danger zone. About 2 positive statements for every 1 negative statement is kind of normal. And I would say that for just about everyone. That's kind of a normal place. That's when you're doing all right. But is that normal? That's kind of what I want to talk about later on. Let's keep going though. So once you get into about three positive statements for 1 negative, that's about the right place. That's about where you're flourishing. You want to say 3 positive things for every 1 negative. For your typical people that you're dealing with around, I'd say everyone that you're mostly around. Just people you see on the street, that kind of stuff, college students, nursing home residents. That's a good place where you can really grow and flourish, is about 3 to 4. As you see though, getting on to 6, and around 5 is actually where I say is the best place to be, because you're just before that 6 breaking point. you're always, I like to be extra positive or strive for that, because chances are you're falling behind. Because there's a reason why we're not talking, if this really was the issue where it's like, hey, you guys are, in this danger zone of 11, way too much positivity before the negative. Because that is a thing, is if you get too positive and say way too much positive, on this side over here, if you get way too much positive without being negative, you don't progress. You're so positive that you're never looking outside of belief. You're never looking at the real world and real aspects and real chances to change, grow, and improve. And that is what has to happen, is every once in a while you do have to add a pessimistic statement. But there's a reason why people teach positivity and not negativity, not pessimism, is because we suck at being positive. Let's just be honest. Like, we're not good at it. It's something we're really good at being negative. We're really good at being critical. Although I would say one thing to that too, is that we're not good at doing it the right way, not doing it in the best way possible to actually help someone grow. It is one thing to just have a pessimistic statement, which encompasses everything, and to not get into the criticism side. I think that it's one thing to say something that will help, anytime you use the word criticism, in its root word is meant to destroy. Criticism is something that is specifically meant to tear down, and then positivity in this instance is supposed to be something to build up, to lift up. And so that is the goal, is that, if ever you're using critical statements or anything negative, it's because there's a system in place that needs to be torn down so something else can be replaced and built up. But if you're doing that all the time, if you're just seeing someone, and we can do this to our kids sometimes, we can do this to our family members. If you see here, marriages need to be on the more positive side than they do on the negative. And so that's why we got to make sure that as we do add those critical remarks, that it is meant in a place where if we are tearing down, we are immediately rebuilding with the right building blocks. But also first know that you are in the right place to do that. You don't want to do that in the wrong place. Anyway, so what this shows over here is where marriage and business teams ought to reside as well in that. And so business teams, as you can see, ought to be somewhere even further than the typical 3-to-1 ratio of positivity, 4-to-1 ratio. It needs to be closer to 6. And that is because when you are in your environment here, when you're at work, it's best to be in a positive statement. You work better, as Sean Acor talks about in his book, The Happiness Advantage. You are at an advantage when you are happy. And it's no secret that those that are more positive throughout their day typically stay more happy. Again, this is where this kind of comes in as well, is that there is danger zones and a lot of that, but there are times that you do need to be critical. You need to throw those out to keep the environment happy so that they have that advantage of productivity and growth. But you also have to make sure they're growing in the right places. I think that's why I like the idea of people doing like a short meeting in the morning or a short meeting at night to go over and say, hey, here are the things that you did awesome. Here are the things we need to improve and grow on. But then the rest of the day should be positive. You've covered all those things during the day. If big things come up, of course, take care of them. Anyway, that's my viewpoint on work. With marriages, you see, even more so, you need to be on the positive side. You need to grow. You need to be happy. You need to be. Really, criticism shouldn't come from spouses as often. There are times that definitely where it's like you can see that your spouse, and again, I'm speaking from a little bit of limited experience here. I've only had one. I just barely hit my 1 year of marriage. So please, share in the live chat or whatever in the comments below, so I can share with my wife that everyone is happy for our anniversary, because I am. I'm so excited. But I also, because of my situation with my life, my upbringing. I have studied marriage a lot, so still this does apply. My parents reach on their third marriage, and so I've seen marriages work and fail a lot. And I've had a lot of family that are in marriages. Anyway, I don't want to talk too much about that, but so with marriage, it is important that you do have that you are further along, because criticism doesn't come from the spouse as well. That's probably the main first thing I learned from marriage, is that it doesn't work all that great. It doesn't, like, to be the one that always wants to fix your wife or fix your spouse. I'm sorry, it's not going to work the best. And so anyway, I want to talk about that real quick and show you guys this, the Losada ratio, that this is the best way to do it. You need to be saying positive statements more so than negative statements. And that is really where the power of positivity comes from, or that's where you really flourish in the power of positivity is as you get that right ratio. So I would say shoot for around 5-1 to 6-1, especially with your spouse, or more so. The reason that we talk about positivity is because we're way better at being negative than we are at being positive. It's easy to especially as kids and children, as we're in that growing period, the things that stick with us the most, the things that we recognize and remember the most, are the critical remarks. And so we carry those on to our daily conversations, which is not the right way to go. The best way to go with this is to strive for positivity. And then if you really, once you've practiced and you got really good and you are at that danger zone of, okay, I'm way too positive, then you can tone it down and improve on how you're critical. But I want to talk about a few tools of how to improve your positivity, how you can actually improve that positive thing. So here's a couple tools with practice, because we suck at everything until we've practiced at it. I'm sorry, that's why they call it flukes. Unless you do it one time, you do fantastic. But typically we're not good at doing something without practice. So I wanted to talk about a few things that we can practice to become more positive. So here's a couple things that I try. First off, this is from Shauna Core, gratitude. So the attitude of gratitude, being grateful, is one of the number one correlations with positivity. Being a positive person is being grateful, having that gratitude thought process. So gratitude is really important. How can we improve and practice our thoughts of gratitude? First off, Shauna Core shares this one where every morning, as a business team member or at home, you want to write down 2 things that you're grateful for every day. And this actually improves productivity by about 15 to 17%. I can't remember the exact numbers, but it's in the, between 10 to 20% of your day-to-day, if you will only spend 5 minutes in the morning sending an email of thank you for this, or writing down something like 3 things you're grateful for. Getting in your mindset practice as you continue to do it, of being grateful in your mindset and in your thought process and in your actions as well. So that's a really good one. Read Shauna Core's book, The Happiness Advantage. It's fantastic. The other one that I want to share too is one that I've practiced for. I did this for a year straight, where I had a long commute. So it wasn't quite a year. I think it was like 10 months. But I had a long commute into, I was living in Utah, and I had to drive to Salt Lake about 45 minutes and every day. And I would put a timer on my phone as I was commuting to work, the time that people are the most unhappy. It's actually, they've done so many scientific studies about how unhappy people are when traveling or when in traffic. It's the number one time that you need to be focused on being happy, anytime you're in traffic. So what I would do is I took my phone out and I put a little timer on, and I set the 5-minute timer, and for 5 minutes straight, I could not think of anything except for I'm grateful for X. I'm grateful for these mountains. I'm grateful for this beautiful view. I'm grateful that guy didn't run into me and kill me. Sometimes it was harder to be completely grateful, but I changed my mindset where I practiced and I got good at saying, at being grateful. And then the hard part too is actually feeling grateful as you're doing that as well. This is an opportunity for meditation, even while you're on the road, and just practice your thought process, because you can't be good at your thoughts without practicing. You're not strong without doing it consistently, reps and sets. Same thing with your mind. These are muscles. It's all called what's called the reticular activating system. Is the system where with your brain detaches and retaches synapses. So as you are improving, as you continue to do reps and sets, what happens is that you will then be able to connect those synapses in your brain that will then help you to be positive more often, or have more grateful thoughts quicker, easier, better. And that is where that's where I feel like the quality of life improves immensely, is as you do that. So I can tell you, after having done this for 10 months straight, every morning for 5 minutes, to 10 minutes, or Monday through Friday, although I did work some Saturdays, I would, it was so much easier after a while. At first, I had struggles, and I had to set my timer for like 3 minutes, because I just didn't feel it was harder to do. I was at a place too where I was not as positive or happy, and so I took myself from there, and grew to a place where it was easy for me to do it for 10 minutes, 20 minutes. I would hit the 5-10 minute mark, and I'd feel sad, and I'd actually set it again, and I would do a different challenge. And this is where I want to talk about too, is that there's other challenges, other things you can do, which is, instead of just stopping at being positive or grateful, think, I'm happy about, or I trust. That's a big one. That's a positive statement. There is, I trust. I believe in something. What is it you believe in? Spend 5 minutes saying that. I bet after 3 minutes, you're like, oh man, what do I believe in? And it'll be hard the first couple times, but as you grow, as you improve, you'll be better at thinking about what you believe in. That's actually one I need to work on again as well. But trust as well. You want to improve your levels of trust. That's something I'm writing about in my book, How to Happy. It's not out yet. It's going to be in a while. But happiness, trust, is a huge part of happiness and how you are overall. In that, and that's actually something Martin Seligman talks about in his book, Authentic Happiness, as well, and The Power. I forgot his other book. I don't remember it. But anyway, so that's what I want to talk about today. I wanted to go over, the power of positivity, why it's important for you to be positive and work on positivity. Also remember that you don't want to take it too far. There's definitely a point when you can go too far with this. You don't, if you are getting to the point where you're saying 11 positive things for one negative, or around like 9-10, at that point, yeah, definitely stop. Whoa, you have to come back to reality a little bit. You're only saying positive things, and no one is that perfect here on the earth. Like, there are times that you need to correct mistakes, but we, as imperfect people, are not in a good place to ever correct every mistake of every person. That's when, believe me, chances are you're on the side where you're at 1 for 1, if not below, because we as people, unless we've practiced this and worked at it, we typically do not do as well at saying positive statements. So thanks so much for watching. Please put in the comments below. This video was filmed live. But will be uploaded as a video that can be watched anytime here on YouTube. So I'm so grateful for you guys for joining. Please ask questions and discuss in the comments below. And please subscribe. I need to hit that 100 subscriber mark so I can grow this channel to be what I want to be. Also, down below here, I also added my Facebook and Instagram account information. So please go on there and like and follow me as well there. Thanks so much, guys. Excited to be here, and have a great day. I'm grateful. I'm very positive with this outcome of everything here.